Hi, my name is Anthony. I'm with Preparation with Purpose, and I am your career coach. Today, we're going to be tackling some resume challenge questions of most commonly faced issues where job seekers struggle with their resume and question whether they have the right format or different things that we're going to talk about today. So let's get right into it. The first question is, how do I know if my resume is formatted correctly? The best way to know if your resume is formatted correctly is by just doing a Google search of resume templates. You want to compare your resume to the common resume templates that's out there. You want to be mindful that your resume aligns with your industry. So if you're an artist, you're in the entertainment industry, your resume should be a little bit more glamorous, have photos, pictures of yourself, whatever you're trying to present. But that's going to be the difference between somebody that's looking to be an account manager or an accountant, things like that. You don't really want to go above with your resume. You want to make sure that is, I don't want to say plain, but you want to just make sure it's basic. The most important information about your formatting of your resume is that it's legible, grammatically, the grammar spelled correctly, no mistakes, no typos. You want to make sure that that it's legible, that it's readable. You want to be a standard 11 or 12 point fonts. You don't want to use something that's all bold. You want to make sure that it's consistent. So you don't want to have part of it in bold and part of it not bold, or part, you want to be consistent with your formatting. So that's really what you want to look for. You want to make sure it doesn't have too many different shapes and things like that, because if you're using a lot of shape designs and graphics, it could cause you to be kicked out of the ATS applicant tracking system. Because if your format is too complicated for the system to read it, then it will get kicked out and it won't, make it to the hands of the recruiter. So be mindful of your resume formatting. I hope that was not too all around, but I hope to answer your question. Next question: how do I fix employment gaps on my resume? The most important thing with your resume is being able to speak to what's on your resume. A lot of times, employers will ask you questions if they see, what I call red flags. They see something that doesn't seem right. There's a lot of gaps, or there's an unspoken to gap on your resume. Then typically you want to be able to speak to it. Ideally, one of the things that you can do is you can add a relevant experience section on the bottom and kind of talk about your employment gap. But if you were doing something during that employment gap, definitely list that there and speak to it. If you were a caregiver caring for a loved one, then just say caregiver from 9/2020 to 9/2022. But just, briefly put it. You don't have to give description. You don't have to put bullet points of what you were doing. Just list what you did during that time frame. So that way that time frame accounts for a period of time that's not justified on your resume with actual work experience during that time. Other things that you can do, if you didn't do anything, if you were between jobs and there was nothing going on, I highly suggest that you do spend your time wisely. Now, obviously, job searching is a work in itself, but that's not what the recruiter wants to see. You want to put that you are developing. You say I was working on taking organizations, working on my organization skills. I was studying on, you can. I don't want to say that it's not that it's stretching the truth in the essence that it is, but with your job search, that the way you organize it and set it up, it could be you went to networking events that just things that you did during your job search. Then put that on there. Say, hey, I attended networking events to stay relevant in my industry. I developed myself while I was working on my organization skills. All these things that you're doing during your job search. Again, a job search is like working a full-time job in itself. So highlighting those skills when you're down, when you're between jobs, if you're laid off, if you're furloughed, adding those new skills. And don't be afraid to learn a new skill. There's so many different websites and things that you can do. A lot of colleges and universities are offering free online courses that are teaching certain topics. So I highly suggest you to do that, because employers value when employees are taking an interest in themselves and are constantly developing themselves. So listing those things on your resume will definitely help get your foot in the door. All right, next question. How do I write bullet points that show achievements and not tasks? So I guess the common way to show tasks on your resume is by just copying and pasting the job description. That's basically what it's going to look like, is when you have tasks on your resume. You're just showing what you did in the job description. But employers don't want to see that. They want to see the things that you excelled at as an accomplishment. So you can take that job description. Say if it said, I was responsible for managing a book of business. Say if you're a life insurance sales agent, you're an agent at an agency, and you're responsible for a book of business. And how, how do you show that you excelled or had accomplishments. Retention rates. I improved my retention rate because maintaining retention is a part of that job description. I improved my retention rate. I increased about 20% year over year. You got to be careful with your numbers because they're going to question you on your numbers. So anytime you use the numbers as your examples, be prepared to speak to it and go in depth if need be. So don't just be putting random numbers to make yourself look good, but be speaking truth so that you can actually speak to. Another example, as an inventory clerk, I was responsible for making sure that the counts were accurate. We were only allowed a 2% variant, and of 100 inventories that I was overseeing, I had maybe 5% of my inventories that were off, that I had to do a redo on it. But those were because there were shipments that were that was still in transit that was allocated to the store's inventory, but hadn't been reconciled yet. So just understanding with that job, you have to be able to speak to it. I can give you other scenarios of that, but most importantly, they want to see that you not only were you able to do that job detail, but that you excelled at it. And so having some type of accolades, and even if you didn't, just say, hey, I was proficient in it, that I was able to train as they brought in new agents or new associates, they trusted me to train them on their job description and the tasks and duties of the office. So be able to speak to those things and list those things in your resume as accomplishments. Next question. What is the biggest mistake people make on their resume? The biggest mistake is people lying on their resume. You have to be able to speak to what's on your resume. I highly suggest that as you go into interviews, that you take extra copies. So in the event that the interviewer doesn't have a copy of your resume, that you're able to provide it, but you also have it in your hand, so that way you're able to follow along and be able to speak to things. So that way you're not caught in the lurch, so to speak. The other thing that people mess up with is contact information, updating professional things. Another thing is the job titles when you're applying to a job, because employers are looking to see if you're applying to multiple jobs using one resume, because they look at that as you're shortcutting, that you're not taking the time to be paying attention to the details. So if you apply to a job that's the job description or the job title is account manager, but then your resume says account executive or account representative, and you don't take the time to update it for that specific job, then they're going to be like, are you going to be that sloppy when it comes to something that's really requiring you to pay close attention to details? So that's one of the things that a lot of people make that mistake of not updating a resume to the specific job. Another mistake people make is contact information, the email address. It's not a professional email. It's ladies man 1975, or I bought me a Cadillac 88, or whatever. It's like your first dot last name at Gmail or at Outlook or at iCloud.com is sufficient. They just want to know that you're a professional. You can do a names insurance guy or account executive at gmail.com, but just something that is professional instead of the nicknames. The nicknames should not be your information, in your contact information. Another mistake we kind of talked about is formatting, putting your picture on there when it's unnecessary. The role doesn't call for that, because especially if you're somebody that, hey, look at me, and you got the bright colored hair, or you got, the loud, bright clothes on. Like, all these things are distractions. So don't have those things that can cause you to be overlooked for the opportunity when you are the best candidate for the role, but because you can't get past the gatekeeper because they have a certain look that they're looking for, certain, I don't know, just somebody that's more conservative, because again, at the end of the day, they're looking at you as a representative of that company. So they got to be able to trust you to represent them, whether you're on the clock or off the clock, that they can trust you to be a professional at all times, that you're not going to be doing crazy things that's going to bring unwanted attention to the business. All right. And I guess I kind of answered that question. Should I include my photo on my resume? No, you should not. Unless it's industry related, you should not include your photo on your resume. Maybe if you're a real estate agent, an artist, you're in the film industry, you're a musician, you're a cosmetologist, you're in the nails and hair and all those type of things, makeup, then yes, you should probably put your picture on your resume. But if you're just an accountant, a lawyer, doctor, just an inventory clerk, no, you should not have your photo on your resume. Your photo should be on your LinkedIn profile. That's how they can find out what you look like. So I hope that helps you. If excuse me, if you have additional questions you'd like to ask, please ask those in the comment below. Also, if you like these question and answer sessions, definitely subscribe and like the video, so that way I will definitely know that you like it, and I'll keep them coming. So I'm going to definitely do more of these videos. I hope that you like them. Also, I am a career coach, so if you want to talk to me and have direct questions of how I can assist you with your job search, definitely go to the website preparationwithpurpose.com. Again, that's preparationwithpurpose.com. I help you with job searching, finding your career path. I help you with mock interviewing. I help you with networking. I help you with resume customization. So a lot of things, everything that you need to go through the job search to help you go from applicant to hired, I help you with that. So if you're interested, just sign up for a free consultation on our website. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Thank you. Have a good night.